Hello, beautiful parents out there. How are you during this pandemic that's nearly a year long? Today, I'm going to talk about the 5 P's of parenting to make life a little bit more manageable, enjoyable, and beneficial to our children, and the 3 P's of parenting to nip as much as possible, especially during the pandemic. So, these are the P's of parenting during the pandemic. The first one is about being playful. So, in the spirit of playfulness, it's like, how do we get playful with our children? That is when all else fails. Doesn't matter how old your child is, even as teenagers or adults, but especially the younger years, the first 8 years, children love to play. That is how their brain is wired. They're not in this like prefrontal cortex thinking, planning, logical, rational mind. They're in the emotional mind, they're in the creative mind, they're in the oneness with their experiences, right? It's us parents who are so work and goal oriented that pulls our child out of that playful, natural state into getting ready for bed, coming to the table to eat, getting ready for school, all of these things, right? So, in the spirit of helping us parents get into the playful zone where our child feels connected to us and is much more likely to cooperate with us and listen to us, or really care about us. It's the space, the playfulness is the bridge that bonds our hearts together, right? These two, it's like the playfulness is how we connect, right? And when we connect with our child, they are way, way, way more likely to do our bidding, right? This is not to be manipulative, but it's about human nature, understanding the answer to why should I listen to you is because I care about you, because we have a relationship, we have a bond. And that's why I'm willing to get out of my play, stop what I'm doing, and, you know, follow your request, right? And it's a request. Let's remember that we cannot force anyone or anything really outside of us, but we can influence through the bond, right? And through us being playful, it is the best way I have found in my years of clinical practice and my 8 years of being a mother to 3 kids, and married, that when we are playful, whether I'm with my husband or my kids, or even with clients or with friends, it releases the stress that builds up inside of us. It allows us to feel safe, so it gets us out of that sympathetic nervous system that is all like shooting the neurotransmitters, epinephrine, norepinephrine, the stress hormones and stuff that divide us, separate us. It's right. When we are laughing and playful, we are in this place of the parasympathetic nervous system, the playful, creative, rest and digest. That is the state. Everyone's talking about the state of flow. That is it. And the way to get into that state, one of the most powerful ones, is to be playful, which means to get goofy, to laugh at yourself, and find your favorite. But my favorite is to dance. Yes. So we're going to get up and we're going to do a little experiment with this video right now, because I've been doing it on my Facebook group, Mama Love Live, or Mama Love, and I've been doing it with my new friend Gunjani on her Mama group, and we are all noticing the shift that happens. We parents have to shift our internal state first, because our children are incredibly intuitive and tuned in. They're like attuned. They're like tuned in to our state. So when we shift our state to being playful, guess what? The mirror neurons, they co-regulate, they get into that releasing state too, and it opens the channels to connection, to deep connection, to that thing that fuels a parent's heart, is that deep connection with our children, right? So without further ado, wherever you are right now. And I love comments, so please subscribe and share and comment, because I love to know feedback as I'm starting this channel and starting to get more regular with it, sharing my experiences with you and what I've discovered along the way. And it's about building this community, and together it's like this online way of building that village that raises our kids. So by exchanging ideas and giving me feedback, I get to see what resonates and what doesn't resonate and what's coming up for you and all that. So I encourage you, please, to comment right now. Take note, hand on the heart, because that gets us that sends the signal to our body that we're listening to our heart. Take a releasing breath, shake off the head, shake off all that to do, suspend it for a second, get out of, judging me and making up your mind about me and whatever's going on around you, and just close your eyes if you can. Tune in for a second. Take that deep breath, take you from the outside, inside. Release, and one more deep breath. And this time, just getting curious. How do I feel right now? Okay. I'm feeling a little bit, jazzed, a little bit of stress because I got some work to do. Okay. Just noting that. Feeling a little bit, like a little bit tense, right? You can feel it in your body. So I would love comment, how do you feel now as your baseline, right? And now I'm going to put on some copyright-free music again. We're going to get up and move. And if you don't feel like getting up, just sit. But really, especially getting into the lower regions of our body, where our sacral chakra, right? I'm starting to develop a program or a dance called Woomba. Like Zumba, but like womb, right? Connecting to this creative energy that we have in our sacral area and our root, right? The grounding root chakra at the base of our spine, right? So we want to move the energy now. And I want to show you that it only takes a couple of minutes really to shift out of any shitty feeling. Shift the shit by moving it through our body. Our body is this giant vessel that houses all of this energy in motion, emotion, right? So we're going to try to shift it and raise the vibration. We're all frequency, we're all energy, right? So we're going to try to shift the energy by moving the biggest powerhouse of our cells, which is our vessel, our body. So join me. We're going to dance for 2 minutes and we're going to notice the shift, right? And as we're moving, I'm going to think about, what am I releasing? Because we have to release stuff that we don't want or doesn't serve us anymore. And then what am I welcoming back into my life? And you can do it with the body movements, all right? So let's get up and move our bodies. Listen to this music. Put some music. And you can do this when you're cooking, brushing your teeth, especially first thing in the morning, releasing that lactic acid, right? So shake your head to clear, right? Shake up the energy. All that stuff. Rub your temples. Shake, 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 shake. You can bounce. Kids love it when you're like bouncing and goofy and playful and make funny faces. And then open the heart. Open. Is it feeling stuck in here? Right? Pay attention to that. Is it stuck in here? Not your throat. That is your truth speaking ability. Right? Open the heart. You can just tap on the heart. There's all of these are all the meridian lines. So we're at 1 minute. Notice how you feel. You feeling a little lighter, a little more free. We're all searching for freedom right now, right? Now moving in, this is your solar plexus. This is where our soul purpose is in here. So try to move that. So if the muscles are tight, you bring in some blood, circulation, movement, moving the energy, right? And if anything's feeling stuck, you say, I choose to release. Release. Woo, release. Right? Woo, woo. And then circles. Boomba. Circle, circle. Bring in that energy. You can do figure eights. little bit more of a aerobic, get your heartbeat going, make a little jump, right? And then you just get down to the glute. So it's about, you can lean forward to release this, right? When I was pregnant for preparation for the birth, it was about doing circles, because flowers, trees, it's like how life happens. It's in this circular motion, right? And then you can just feel that I'm flying and floating and bringing in freedom, opening my mind, opening my heart, and energizing my body, right? And shake. If anytime you're feeling stress, shake. Shake it off, right? Shake, 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 shake. Punch it out. I'm releasing. And then I'm bringing in all the things. I'm bringing in playful energy. You can intend what you want. You can bring in the intentions. Okay? It's been about 2 minutes, right? Now we're going to take note again of how we feel, right? How are you feeling? Actually, I'm going to stand up because I like when I'm standing, there's a lot more fluid movement and my message is much more fluid, right? So the first thing around the first P of parenting is to be playful, right? Number one, if you forget everything else from our chat today, is to be playful, because that is the avenue, that is the language that our children operate on. And when we're playful, we are not in our heads all stressed and in that work goal-oriented mind. We're in the present. So that brings me to the next point, which is to being patient and peaceful, right? Those two P's require us to be present, right? There's a lot of P's, but so the next one is how to be peaceful. Well, we have to cultivate peace in our lives. One thing is to take note right now, right? Take out a piece of paper, same piece of paper, and write down at least 3 things that are sucking the energy out of you. These are like energy leaks. These are the things that like to leach off of you, whether it's relationships that you find yourself drained. You know, when you see some people, you get on the phone, or when they message you, you just don't even want to message them back because you know there's going to be some kind of drama or some kind of gossip, some kind of, you know, fear-based venting, you know, like that, you know, that your higher self knows you don't want to be around that person. But for some reason, whether it's obligation or whatever, you end up in that person's life. So list at least 3 things that are sucking the energy out of you. Because if we want to be patient with our children, we need to free up the space. We need to actually, you know, release the stuff that's not serving us and bring in the stuff that is serving us, right? Maybe it's certain tasks that you do. Maybe it's the mess around your home. Maybe it's your job itself. Maybe it's, I don't know, I know the pandemic is on everyone's mind, but maybe it's our perspective about the pandemic, or maybe it's that oil change that the light is constantly on in our cars, or just like the list of things to do. So just take 3 things that are draining your energy. Because this is what I notice when I'm not being patient with my kid, is because my mind is somewhere else. It's not present, and it's usually on something that is draining my energy. Like I gotta call the bank and get them to send me, you know, paperless statements. You know, those kinds of tedious tasks that are just kind of sitting in your mind, or doing reports or something for work. Take those notes. We gotta figure out a way to get them out of your life, right? Whether it's having boundaries again with that person that is sucking the energy out of you. Maybe you limit the time that you're with them. Maybe you say, I don't want to have a conversation on these topics anymore. Or maybe you give a time frame and you say, we're only going to talk for like 5 minutes on this topic because I love you, I care about you, and I know you need a release of that. I have those people in my life too, but I put time frames. I have to have boundaries, right? It is perfectly okay to have boundaries. Remove the things in your life that are not serving you, and then bringing in the things that do bring you into the present moment. You know, is it like giving yourself a good, juicy selfie hug? Or it's about maybe having a transition, when you're transitioning from work mode to mom mode, you know what I mean? Or transitioning from coming from outside grocery shopping to coming home, right? Just having a little bit of a breath or a hug or an intention, like segment intending, right? They talk about that in Mind Valley for that moment, right? How you want it to be. What brings you into the moment? I love moving my body again, right? So if I'm like brushing my teeth and I'm like thinking about the day and all the things I have to do, what grounds me back into my body is moving while I'm brushing. See, like that. I have the sonic hair, right? So thinking about what brings us into the moment, sometimes just being able to feel the like using your senses again to come into the moment, feel the texture of your shirt, your hand, or look at your child, or look at your partner, or breathe in the scent. Surround yourself with aromatherapy or nice fresh plants that bring fresh oxygen, right? So taking the things that don't serve you out, bringing in the things that do serve you into the present moment. So now we've got playfulness, patience in the present moment, or peacefulness. So then you bring in the peace, and then with the peace comes the patience, right? How do we become patient? This is the big one. I used to ask for the patience pill. Please give me the patience pill, because I wanted to stop yelling at my kids every time they did something that was out of my control and they couldn't understand or they weren't listening. I wanted patience so that I could get playful with them and make a game out of it, because kids, operate on that system, right? But one other huge thing that I learned was around slowing down, right? Slowing down to get to the pace of my child. It is not the job of the child to speed up to our pace, which is when we're out of our patience or we're running late for school or needing to go somewhere, that's when we're starting to push the child and forcing them really to get into our pace. And I know that's not always avoidable, especially when a child is dawdling in the car and not putting on their seatbelt, for example, or they're battling with each other on which seat that they sit in if you have multiple kids, right? Does that ever happen to you? Comment. Comment. I would love to know, what are your struggles? And then the other idea is, so when we slow down to the pace of the child, we can get creative. So again, it's about taking that breath to bring us into the parasympathetic. Let it go. Long exhales, at least 3 of them. You could even try the alternating nostril, like taking in, hold, and then exhale. Do that 3 times. In for 4 and pause, and then out for 6 or 7, as long as you have the last breath. Gets you into, see, the parasympathetic, which is their creative state. Right? We cannot be creative when we're in this nervous, gotta go, gotta do, gotta get them to bed, stressed energy. We have to create the state ourselves in order to then be able to be creative and playful. So coming up with a creative game. If they're resisting getting into their pajamas, oh, cool. I don't know, which one do you want to be tonight? You want to be the robot or the dinosaur? Or, if you want to, if they're really into their game, then learning how to get into their space, connecting before you direct them or before you correct them. You kind of get into their zone, and you get the attachment cues, which is the eye contact, right? Gordon Neufeld talks about this. Eye contact, the nodding. Oh, you're playing with your dolls. You really are into this game. Wow, look at the way that you've arranged them. Right? And the smile. When your child looks back in your eyes and starts to nod and smile, that's when you know you got the attachment connection going on, right? That's when they are open to your direction. Remember that, because how many times do we end up in the kitchen and say, guys, wash up for dinner, guys, clean up, guys, get ready for bed, right? We don't even know where they are in the house, and then we repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and get louder and louder and louder, and then we start to build stories about why are they not listening, why don't they care, why am I not seeing, why am I not heard, oh, this is bringing up all my pain from my childhood because I wasn't seen or heard or valued, right? Does that ever happen? Be honest now with yourself. Comment here, please. I would love to hear, right? Share, subscribe. I will be doing a lot more of these like raw, real videos about mama life, parenting life, and how do we manage, right? So how are we doing here? We got 3 P's so far: to get playful with them, how to have peace, to create peace in our presence, how to be patient, breath, right? You can do the tapping as well, even though I feel the pressure to get into bed. There's like 9 pressure points. I fully and thoroughly accept myself as I am. You do that a few times. It activates the meridian lines so that you're releasing. So get into the moment, get into your body. Dance, move the body again. And then remembering that practice makes progress, not perfection, right? So our kids a lot of times resist writing, learning anything new, really, whether it's reading, writing. A lot of times my kids are, no, I don't want to do that because it's hard, right? They're creating, again, new neural pathways, and it's uncomfortable to do that. Any change for any human being is uncomfortable, especially for our beautiful, playful, creative children who, by the way, can learn almost everything from anything. There's actually a book called Learn Everything, or You Can Learn Everything from Anything. They're always learning, but if they have to do something specific and they're resisting, they might have a little bit of that perfectionism. And check yourself. How perfectionistic are you? How are you when they make a mistake or an error, right? Oftentimes, they internalize the message that they hear from us, either about them or how we treat ourselves. Like when you burn the food, are you like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot, how could I do that? Or, oh, whoops, I guess I kind of, got distracted or whatever. Let me just wash the pot and do it again. Totally different energies, right? So practice. Remember that practice is for progress, not perfection. So that's the 4th P of parenting. And the 5th one that makes my life so much easier is planning. Okay? Yes, to be in the moment and be present, but also have a bit of a plan around meals, routines. It helps adults as much as it helps kids, because we human beings are habitual beings. We like to have routine and structure creates safety for us, right? So, and I'm talking like a general, like I'm not talking about every single, like there's going to be like 5 peas and 2 carrots and like a spoon, just like a general plan of I'm going to have like a vegetable and a carb and a protein on the table. A general plan about everyone contributing as your kids get older to, setting up the table for meals, contributing to cooking. My kids love to sit there and chop the vegetables, maybe giving them some freedom to make a smoothie, make a soup, make a salad with their creation so that they get into the food. But having a bit of a routine and having yourself a plan, like I'm really trying with my husband right now to have a day for laundry, a day we're going to do the grocery shopping for the week. Every day having, an hour for screens or whatever. Because if we don't plan, this is what happens. We end up defaulting to the path of least resistance, and a lot of times it could just be like, okay, kids, let's just have another movie night with a pizza. It was just us last night, which is fine. But when we were doing that a little too many days of the week, that's when you're like, okay, I'm just not really planning for things, and then I default, right? I go to the laziest thing I could possibly do. So having some routines, having some meals, you can even make it fun. So everyone, I like to have my kids kind of go through the colorful recipe book, and then whatever looks good to them, they kind of mark it, and then I go and figure out the groceries and try to get the groceries for that week, and then meal planning, right? That's a big one, because then you're not left hungry. Everyone's having kind of a meltdown, or everyone's starting to get hangry, you know what I mean? Adults included. But children start to have tantrums and resist and say, oh, no, I'm not hungry. That's when you know you've gone too far. When you can tell they're really hungry and they're melting down, but they're resisting and saying, no, I'm not hungry. That's when you're like, oh. Or same with sleep, right? So having a sleep routine. Everyone, I don't know if you're doing baths every night or just the brushing, pajamas, story, whatever it is, into bed. And Having extra time. This is another part about slowing down, right? Having like working into your schedule extra time to allow for the dawdling, allow for the tantrum, remembering that our children's job, as they're becoming more and more autonomous and independent, and they're starting to, feel out their like power in the world and stuff, they're going to, resist us. That's how they learn, because we're the safe person. So they push back on us so that they can kind of learn their like limits, and their place in the world, and test out what they can try and can't try, and where all the boundaries are, right? So allowing time, because those are actually crucial learning moments. Our kids are not just trying to piss us off and make our lives more difficult. They're doing their learning, growing job. They're just natural at that. And we parents have to, again, figure out, create that space so that, and that internal capacity, so that our children can try these things out and learn. But if we're like running in, late, or having these like power struggles with them, you know what I mean? Stop. That, because that power struggle teaches a child that obviously we adults have more power, and in the end we're gonna like power over them. So then they learn, it's almost like failing to thrive. They're just like, I'll just give up, or they'll suppress that emotion and exit somewhere else. So we want to create space for our children to have those meltdowns, have those struggles back and forth with us. Remembering that play is more important than the work. I always say an emotional state and relationship is more important than being punctual, right? So I always say, like, let's be a few minutes late, but make sure that we have a chance to process our emotions, because otherwise it gets stuffed in, and then it shows up, that emotion, that energy shows up unbeknownst, unplanned, right? And then know that there's going to be parental meltdowns, having compassion for yourself as well. So having a plan for all of these things, really, really helpful. So those are the 5 P's again. So just to note them down: learning how to be playful, taking note of what it takes for you to be playful. Learning how to be peaceful is really important to create that peace inside, becoming present. Patient, right? Learning how to slow down so that you can grow that patience muscle. It's not a pill. I wish there was, but it's about cultivating that patience muscle within by creating the conditions for us. And knowing that practice is for progress, not perfection. And 5, planning for meals, planning for routines, plan for all the things you can, but also have room for a plan for all the things not going according to the plan. Got it? And now we get to our 3 P's to avoid. So important. Avoiding that picture perfect expectations, right? Making peace with the beautiful imperfection of life, right? Learning to laugh at it, the mess, the kid dressing in pajamas, or my son who likes to wear dresses. Just learning to have humor. And there's beauty in the imperfections, right? Like if you look at nature, it harmonizes with us. And there's nothing perfect about nature, but when you look at the overall harmony of how it all kind of works together, it's quite beautiful in its imperfection, right? So getting away from perfection, getting away from power struggles again, right? You don't want to get into those power struggles with your partner, right? The co-parent as well as your kids. So, you know what I mean? Like the challenges that come up, like if the kids are wanting more time to like read with you, or if they want you to read instead of them reading themselves, or they want a little bit more time to play before going to bed, or they're not getting ready for school, or not coming to the breakfast table because they're, again, playing most of the time. Just getting out of the power struggle and getting in more of like an understanding. Oh, I can see how important this is for you. That is drawing your attention. It's not a distraction. It's an other attraction. They're more attracted because of their wiring, because of who they are. And they're actually teaching us to get more into the present moment, get into the playful energy. It's just if we can get ourselves out of our head. So that's why move our body, shake it out, move the energy out. And the third and final P to avoid in parenting is that pissed off kind of reaction. I know myself, you may be surprised, but I can get really mean when I'm pissed off. And this is not to say we can't feel pissed off or angry or upset or sad or irritated or resentful or bitter or jealous or any of these things. We get comparisonitis, right? We're constantly comparing with all the social media coming at us, or whatever we hear from our friends that they're doing, or how our parents, tell us that things were when we were little. Okay, that's fine. But when you allow yourself to react from the energy of being pissed, you're just going to spread more pissy energy. Let's be honest, right? It's not going to resolve anything. You might think that it's going to release your anger and you're going to feel better, but actually you're just perpetuating by spreading the pissed off energy, right? So in those moments, this is the hardest task, but the most powerful task is to ground, back in, identify the emotion first. I feel pissed. Oh, that feels good to say. 2, have a plan ahead of time, again, for when you're feeling pissed. I need to go to my sacred space. I need to go for a walk. I need to have a shower, a bath. I need to drink a glass of water. So helps, right? Because when we're drinking water, not only are we hydrating, but we're also pausing, because we can't be when water's going in, right? Otherwise we'd have a choking situation, right? So have a plan for yourself when you're pissed. Plan for the pissed off energy, because it's bound to happen. Look at all the things we're all dealing with, parents. So I have so much love, so much compassion, so much understanding for you. If this stuff resonates, please share, because other parents probably will benefit too. And I would love to know feedback from you. Subscribe. I'm going to do these weekly, at least, if not more often. And the length, right? Tell me, 30 minutes, is that too much for us parents to listen? Should I break it down even shorter? And did you feel the shift when you moved your body? And what resonates the most out of these P's? 5 P's to put into parenting and 3 P's to take out. Peace out. Love you.